Jimmy Buffett died, but talk about somebody who is a modern day immortal. Jimmy Buffett was able to create a state of mind with his music that will always not only live, but always be necessary. Couldn't be in a bad mood listening to Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett was fun. Jimmy Buffett was cool. Jimmy Buffett kind of transcended labels. He created kind of a music. It wasn't maybe it was country, but it was always like kind of tropical, oh, just good vibes. I saw Buffett twice in the kind of like late 80s, early 90s. I actually found a ticket stub right here, Thursday, June 21st, 1990, 8 p.m. Concord Pavilion. I took my mom. It was awesome. Sat on the lawn at Concord Pavilion. Good vibes. All those parrot heads, people wearing shark fins. It was so fun, man. Jimmy Buffett. Allah Shalom. His memory will be for an everlasting blessing. Jimmy Buffett is one of those few guys who went bald, kept the ring of hair long in the back, and still managed to look pretty good. Jimmy Buffett, man. You know what else I loved about Jimmy Buffett? Oh, take a look at this. Jimmy Buffett had a fabulous mustache. Men in the 70s and in the 80s, they wore thick, bushy mustaches without a hint of irony. Nowadays, when I see a doofus wearing a mustache like the one Jimmy Buffett has here, especially if he's wearing skinny jeans and living in his mother's basement, I go, doofus, quit trying so hard. You'll never be Jimmy Buffett. 70s and 80s, man, big mustache time. I did a little count in the 1984 All-Star Game rosters out of the 60 players. A grand total of 31, over half of the players in the 1984 All-Star Game, unironically, wore a mustache. Some of my favorites: Tony Armas, Willie Hernandez, Donnie Ballgame, Don Mattingly. So many good mustaches. The Goose, who closes it out for the National League. Al Holland had a mustache. What do you call this mustache, this Jimmy Buffett mustache? Well, welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. This is episode 35. Here's to you, Manchu. A lot of us call this mustache a Fu Manchu, right? Thick, bushy across the top, hanging down, hanging down. Sometimes it goes all the way. Sometimes even might even go a little bit beyond the chin, but thick and bushy all the way across and all the way down. But you know what the mustache is properly called? A horseshoe. It's not a Fu Manchu. I know. Good luck changing popular opinion. But I did a little Fu Manchu mustache research here at the Rated Rabbi Sports Card podcast. And take a look at this. If you're listening in, you'll have to use your imagination. We have a comparison. The top picture is of the horseshoe mustache, as Jimmy Buffett just displayed. The bottom picture is the Fu Manchu. As I said, the horseshoe goes across, thick, bushy, and then hangs down, right? It's a good looking mustache, the horseshoe. The other one, the Fu Manchu, you just have hair coming here in like the top corners of your lip, and then it just hangs down. It's like a cascading, hanging, free-flowing waterfall hair that hangs down, sometimes quite long, but definitely not part of the chin hair itself. It just comes from the corners of the mouth and it again cascades down. So all these years, I've been calling the horseshoe a Fu Manchu, and I don't know if I can change my ways, although maybe I ought to consider it because it actually turns out like the origins of Fu Manchu are super racist. Oh my God, 1912 to now, right? Starts out, he's a character in books, then he's in radio and eventually in TV and movies. He always plays this brilliant, ice cold, evil Chinese doctor who has no reverence for humanity. He's like an evil genius crime man, picks like capers, sets people up. He is just this diabolically evil, sinister character. Uh, but he's also very symbolic of what's called the yellow peril, a fear of Chinese people and a fear of China itself. And you know that fear of China thing is still around, right? But let's take a look at some of the representations of Dr. Fu Manchu. Here we go, 1932, Mask of Manchu. You know who's playing? First of all, that's a dope chair he's sitting in. We'll get to that in a second. You know who's playing Fu Manchu here? 1932, Mask of Manchu. None other than Frankenstein's monster himself. That's Boris Karloff playing Fu Manchu. All right, let's get back to the chair. Look, it's like a throne, hand carved wood, circular behind him, pillars. Dang. Want to see another representation of Fu Manchu? All right, 1965. Mask of Manchu. Meet the face of Fu Manchu, 1965. There's that same representation, properly wearing a Fu Manchu mustache is Dr. Fu Manchu. That's a great movie poster with a giant dagger raised above everybody, and it says, "Obey Fu Manchu, or every living thing will die." Fu Manchu here at the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, going deep on the pop culture. Do I think we'll ever change? Do I think we'll ever evolve past calling the horseshoe mustache a Fu Manchu? No. But maybe if I've taught one person one thing about this origin of Fu Manchu, and maybe it's a racist, I guess I've done my job. And then I'll undo my efforts by showing you a collage I made early this morning on Canva. I'm actually getting pretty good with Canva. A collage I made of some of my very favorite mustaches. I'm not going to name them anything because I want to call them Fu Manchu, but all 7 of these are wearing the horseshoe. That's right. Let's take it top left, go clockwise. Goose, one of the great mustache wearers of all time there with the New York Yankees. In the middle, the pitcher who's taking over for Dave Stieb as we go to the bottom of the third, Detroit Tiger righty Jack Morris, who inspired this dive into great mustaches. Top right, not an all-star, but always one of my favorite names, nicknames, and facial hair wearers. The mad Hungarian Al Hraboski. Bottom right. Oh, you know this picture. Broadway Joe Namath rocking the stash. Bottom middle, Hulkamaniacs. Gotta go Hulk Hogan. He was wearing this mustache all career. I went late Hulkster. I didn't go young and sexy flexy because I don't know. I just saw this picture of Hulk Hogan. And you know what about Hulk always got me? He has the sweetest eyes. If you're watching the video, he has the sweetest puppy dog eyes. Come on, Hulk Hogan. Bottom right, couldn't resist the gratuitous Joe Montana rocking that mustache photo. There you go, clockwise from Goose to Montana. Some of my favorite mustaches of the 1970s and the 1980s. As Jack Morris takes the hill to start the bottom of the third, a title flashes on the screen. Here it is, live Saturday, Wide World of Sports on ABC. It's a junior middleweight fight between Wilfred Benitez and Davey Moore, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central, 5 Pacific, tape delay. Wilfred Benitez versus Davey Moore Jr., a middleweight fight. And it just took me back to when boxing was a thing, and not just the heavyweights, lightweights, welterweights, middleweights, some great fighters in the 1980s. Obvious ones: Sugar Ray, Hagler, Hearns, Roberto the Man, Roberto Duran, Manos de Piedra, Hector Camacho. So many guys. And Wilfred Benitez. Benitez actually is the youngest fighter to ever be a world champion. He is a world lightweight champion at age 17. From Puerto Rico, lived in Puerto Rico and in New York. He's first a champion at 17 years old. Unbelievable. Goes on, fights Sugar Ray Leonard, loses. The fight actually gets stopped in the 15th round with 6 seconds to go. The ref stops this as a TKO instead of a decision. Sugar Ray beats him in the 15th. Beats Roberto Duran. Loses a tough decision to the hitman, Thomas Hearns. In his career, wins 3 titles, 3 belts across 3 weight classes. But you know what else happened to Wilfred Benitez? El Radar took a lot of punches. And by the time he's 25, his best days are behind him. He's losing, and he is in some serious, serious financial straits. He goes for actually a pretty small purse. This fight happens in Monaco, and he's fighting Davey Moore. Davey Moore actually made the U.S. Olympic team in 1980, but because of the boycott, doesn't get to fight in the Olympics. Benitez is kind of on the down and outs. Moore is starting to be in his ascension, although he'd had his own ups and downs. Beaten by Duran. The Duran fight is interesting. Duran and Davey Moore do a little homework. Don't take the Rabbi's word for it. The fight happens in the garden. Moore gets destroyed. He actually, his sister and his mom are distraught. They have to leave. Your boy's not so pretty no more. Takes such a beating from Duran that they have to leave the fight while it's still going on. They can't see their brother and their son take the beating. It later turns out that Davey Moore was being handled by members of the Colombo crime family. Davey Moore was not in shape to fight. They say that the Colombo family bribed the officials to get him through the physical, that he shouldn't have even been fighting, but that the Colombos saw a real financial opportunity to bet Duran. So on went the fight, and Davey Moore got crushed. But not on this night, not in Monaco, not against Wilfred Benitez. Moore gave him a beating. Fight doesn't even go 3 rounds. After the fight, I have a beautiful quote taken from the Sports Illustrated 1984 that captures this. Awesome cover, by the way. It's Michael Jordan playing for Team USA. Here is the quote. Johnny Persall, who is his manager, who's Davey Moore's manager, lying on the floor of the hotel room, raises his legs and shook them. I never saw Benitez's legs go like this. Hearns fought him, Duran fought him, Ray Leonard fought him. No one ever knocked him out or beat him like Davey Moore did tonight. No one completely destroyed him like Davey. Anybody who only thought Benitez was finished knows it after tonight. If there's any doubt that he had anything left, Davey Moore removed it. It's really sad, right? After he beats Duran, Benitez is on the way down, on the way out. quote here says at one time he was the best fighter in the world, says Teddy Brenner, a matchmaker for Top Rank. Benitez had won upwards of $7 million, but squandered that fortune just as he had his talent. He'd come to Monte Carlo so deeply in debt to the U.S. government that he might never got out. Final quote, he didn't pay his taxes, said Bob Arum, president of Top Rank. It's really quite a sad story. Davey Moore also, a bit of a sad story. He dies young. 1988, June 1988 in the morning, June 1988. His a four-wheel drive, and it begins to roll down the driveway, and he's next to it. Maybe he didn't put it in park, maybe left it neutral, I don't know. But he's totally caught off guard, and he tries to stop the car, Davey Moore does, but he was dragged under it, pinned, and killed. Now, I just had this thought. It's kind of a strange way to die. It's kind of mysterious. Be trapped under the car, and I wonder if he ran afoul of the Colombo family. I don't know. Let's look at a card. I got one for you right here. It's a Wilfred Benitez card, 1991. There it is. I like this card, the Boxing Hall of Fame, that AW Sports Incorporated set, not too pricey at all. Love showing beautiful low-end cards. As much as I love showing beautiful low-end cards, I also want to show you what this came in. When I buy a card for the Greater Rabbi podcast, mostly I just try to look low-end, so lowest price gets my money. I think this card must have been sold by a kid, because it's kind of like with some other cards on a bedspread, one of those photos on eBay, and I knew it wasn't going to be in bad condition. I knew I'd never grade it, so something that cost between $1 and $2 was what I was looking for. And of course, I got one. What was amazing was that the kid wrapped it in flashcards. You watch it at home. Okay, math quiz for you. 12 times 11, go. 132. One more. 4 times 12. Go faster. 48. I love that you wrapped it in flashcard. Little 8-year-old selling cards on eBay, man. Good times. All right. What have we talked about so far? Mustaches, the Fu Manchu V, the handle. I'm sorry, the horseshoe. Talked about Wilfred Benitez. Talked about Davey Moore, possibly his death related to the Colombo Brother Association. Why don't we talk a little baseball? Morris takes over. First batter to face him, one of the 31 who wears the mustache, Tony Gwynn, playing his first All-Star game. You ever listen to or look at those crazy Gwynn stats as a hitter? I took a few of my favorites. I like to share them with you. How about this one? For Tony Gwynn's career batting average to slip under 300, he would have had to add 1,100 hitless at-bats, which is more or less 2 seasons. Gwynn would have had to go 0 for 2 years to have finished with a sub 300 lifetime batting average. Next one. In 2,440 career games, Gwynn had 9 5-hit games, 45 games with at least 4 hits, and Gwynn had only 34 multi-strikeout games. The odds were better that Gwynn would get 4 hits, which he did 45 times, than he would strike out twice, which he only did 34. In 1995, Gwynn struck out only 15 times in 535 at-bats. For his career in 2 strike counts, where we know most guys hit under 200, with 2 strike counts, Tony Gwynn for his career hit 302. Wade Boggs is second at 260. Finally, Tony Gwynn had 323 career at-bats against Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. Maddox, Martinez, Glavine, and Small's 323 career at-bats. He only struck out 3 times. And Tommy Glavine got him twice, the lefty. Maddox never struck out Tony Gwynn. Neither did Pedro. Maddox faced Gwynn 107 times. 107 at bats. Gwynn hit 415. And for that era, the two best pitchers, man, is Maddox. It's Randy Johnson. It's Randy Johnson. It's Maddox. Take your pick. Totally different styles. But God, I loved both those guys. Man. Morris on the hill. And what does he do on a 1-2 pitch to Gwynn? Breaks off a sick split finger fastball. Bottom drops out of it. And he strikes out Tony Gwynn. Oh, man. It's too good. It's too good to be true. Tony Gwynn. So good. Morris that day, just a little bit better. All right. After the K, the camera pans down the dugout. It was actually probably a cameraman who was kind of inching along the dugout, showing all those guys on the NL bench. And it's the who's who's. It's the guys who are coming up. It's the guys who are already there. It's the guys who are on their way to Cooperstown. And Al says regarding the 1961 All-Star game, there were 14 Hall of Famers on the field that day. But looking back, that was 1984. And from 1984 unto today, there have been 4 more from that game who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So in addition to the 14 guys, Mantle, Aaron, Mays, Koufax, you've also got Hoyt Wilhelm, 1985. What's amazing, it was his 9th year of eligibility, 1985. Let's do some timeline here. He breaks in 1952. Hoyt Wilhelm, the first great relief pitcher, unbelievable knuckleball thrower, pitches all the way until he retires 1972. He doesn't break into the big leagues with the Giants in 52 until he's 29 years old. You do the math. That means he pitched until he was 49 years old. 1972. 5 years later, plus 9 is 1985. Hoyt Wilhelm inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Last 3 all were inducted by the Veterans Committee. Jim Bunning in 1996. Interestingly, the Veterans Committee that year also voted enough for Nellie Fox, but Nellie Fox couldn't go until 1997 because there was a rule that only one player from the Veterans Committee each season could be inducted into the Hall. So we have Hoyt Wilhelm, we have Jim Bunning, we have Nellie Fox, and we have the baby bull, Orlando Cepeda, 1999. I always feel like he gets like a little bit overlooked in Giants lore. We always go Mays, McCovey, Marichal. Maybe it's because he leaves after 66. He's with them for 58 to 66. Has some great cards. Right? I love his rookie, that 58 tops, the red one. This is a neat card for me. I believe this is MVP season, 1967. Orlando Cepeda, a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. What's super cool is if you're watching at home, it's autographed. My dad got me an autograph of Orlando Cepeda. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I've had this card ever since I was a kid. Orlando Cepeda, 1967 tops, signed by the baby bull himself. Whew. Well, that was fun today. Good to remember Jimmy Buffett. Mustaches galore. Wilfred, Benitez, Davey Moore, the Colombo family. Crazy Tony Gwynn statistics. 14 members in the Baseball Hall of Fame from the 1961 game when described by Al Michaels in 1984. And since then, we've added Hoyt Wilhelm, Jim Bunny, Nellie Fox, and Orlando Cepeda. All right, I think that's going to do it for now. Got the high holidays coming up. I will do my very best to get an episode out each Monday, even though I do believe one Monday in the coming weeks is Yom Kippur, so I think I'll probably have my hands full. If you are one of my Jewish sisters and brothers, may this be a time of meaningful spiritual introspection. I wish you a Shana Tova, sweet and healthy new year. And to all y'all, wherever you are, may you be blessed and may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.